Now let's go on to point 2. With point 2, we are now looking at certain time expressions that carry the inversion if you begin with them. What do I mean by time expressions? Well, let's write this a little bit bigger. Let's put it in there. Time expressions like hardly or barely, no sooner or scarcely, but I'm not going to include not until in this group, okay? I can also use negative complement, negative objects like nobody or not a thing. I can even use adverbs of place, but they have to be negative, like nowhere. So I can use time expressions and I can use negative objects in the beginning of my sentence. So let's have a look at a few examples. For example, let's start with hardly and barely and no sooner and scarcely. They all translate the same as in okay? In Spanish it would be apenas, right? Let's have a look at this. I've got the sentence prepared and let me write the sentence I have here. 1 second. Oops. Oh, I'm taking too long. Forgive me. Copy and paste. Here we have some sentences that carry scarcely. Now, scarcely and no sooner, as I said, are synonyms, okay? I'm not going to use the not until because that has a special grammar. Right, I need you to understand that when we use scarcely and no sooner and hardly, let me put hardly also there just for the sake of argument, or barely, okay? You will see that the inversion, if we're talking about a past action, the inversion, which I'm going to write in red, is actually had, and the subject, and now we've got the verb. And we use past perfect in the first part of the sentence. In Spanish you don't. In Spanish people use past tense. For example, apenas perdió el trabajo cuando encontró uno nuevo. ¿Vale? Apenas, ¿qué te digo yo? Arrancó el coche cuando se paró. Okay? Es más, in Spanish you don't even use the cuando. You can say, apenas abrí la puerta que el perro salió. ¿Vale? O no ponéis nada. Apenas abrí la puerta, salió el perro. But in English we do. If we use scarcely, hardly, barely, we have to use the past perfect and we must use when. Okay? The rest of the sentence would be past. Look at no sooner. Now, please look at no sooner. No sooner had he finished. Auxiliar, sujeto y verbo. And here I have used when. But really, don't be surprised if you see, oopsie daisy, forgive me. Don't be surprised if you see a than in a sentence also. All right? Usually for no sooner we use than. And when for the others. But here you see it in action. And remember, past perfect. Remember, past perfect. Now let's go on to negative objects. Here, there's no special rule for tenses. You can use basically anything you want. For example, the present tense. A nadie veo yo sin mascarilla. A nadie veo yo sin mascarilla. Nobody. Como es presente, as it's present, do, I, see. Y ahora ya, without a mask, o el resto de la frase que me dé la gana. There you have it in the present tense. I could use it in the past. A nadie vi. A nadie vi. Nobody did I see. Otro ejemplo. Ni una cosa me dieron. Sí, nada me dieron. Nothing was I given. una pasiva, uso auxiliar sujeto y verbo. Ni una cosa vi, not a thing. Veré, voy a hacer un futuro. Not a thing will I see. Excuse me, let me just correct this. Not a thing will I see. There you have auxiliar sujeto y verbo, auxiliar sujeto y verbo. It's continuous. With nowhere will you find a better hotel. Nowhere will you find a better hotel. And let me show you. So now you know you can do it with negative objects and you can do it with time expressions that have to be negative. Okay? And I'll stop.